talk to you about one other thing that is near and dear to my heart, subplans. And I'll explain why. I'm giving you some personal information so you know I'm not just saying this. This is my life. I'm using this stuff. But I know so many teachers, and they will drag themselves to school sick rather than have to write subplans. I don't know what I mean. Subplans just strike fear in the heart of many teachers. And it's true. We have to write 3 days emergency subplans in case something happens to us and we're not going to be in school. We have to write 3 days of plans so that they will have them there. And we have to, in fact, I have to turn mine in tomorrow. And I have not done them yet. You know what I'm going to be using probably by now in my subplans. But if you know you're going to be out, as I mentioned earlier, I have some health issues going on. And I'm going to be out 3 to 5 weeks throughout the course of this school year. That's a lot. I'm teaching an industry certification class. My students can't miss that much instruction time. And trying to find a substitute who's certified to teach infotech is impossible. So what am I going to do? I'm like panicking. So I have 2 things that I'm going to be using. One thing is I use a program called Nearpod. If you're not familiar with it, you might want to check it out. And it's a great thing to leave for a sub because the sub only has to tell the students a code and what website. And the students go on. It's a self-paced activity. And they go through, they take notes, they answer some questions. You can throw a quiz in there. But it can get a little boring if it's just text and questions. So what I like to do is I like to put videos in there. I like to throw some videos in there and some fun little things throughout, present the information in more of, I want to say cartoon, but you know what I mean. It's that animated instead of a live person talking. And they're getting the content. So I can create lessons for my kids that would be just like I was in the classroom. I can do some voiceovers. I can give them videos. I can give them the text. And putting a Powtoon video in a Nearpod is super easy. Nearpod allows you to insert videos or YouTube links without any problem. So it's kind of my go-to. This is how my subplans are. It's a Nearpod with my Powtoon videos in there to jazz them up and make them more engaging. Our classes are an hour and a half long. That's a long time to keep teenagers on task. And as a substitute, sometimes it's hard for them. The kids don't want to behave the way they do for the regular teacher. So you want to have an activity that's going to keep them engaged. You want to have it so that they are on task. And even if you don't use Nearpod in your subplans, you can save Nearpod videos as MP4s to your computer and give the substitute, have a folder on your computer that says subplans and the date. And the substitute just comes in and just plays those Powtoon videos for the class. And then maybe they have a worksheet they need to complete as a result. Or maybe they have a hands-on activity they're going to be doing with the information they learn. But your kids are still learning content. You're not losing time in your classroom, instructional time, because you're out. And like I said, for me, knowing I'm going to be out for 3 to 5 weeks, a week or 2 in the fall, and then 2 to 3 weeks in the spring, this is vital. This is such a great thing. And Powtoon is what makes it work. Between Nearpod and Powtoon, I'm not as stressed now, knowing that my kids are not going to lose that instructional time. Oh dear, sorry about that. All right, so here's what I would look like. Write out my subplan. So 8:15, show the Powtoon video labeled bell ringer. And it says computer desktop folder subplans. So you've got this information for the sub. This is not using Nearpod. This is just using Powtoon. And then they're going to show the video water cycle. And then they're going to take notes. And they're going to complete a worksheet for a grade. I always like to tell the kids when the sub is there, it's for grade because that tends to keep them on task. And that's just my students. Your students might be different. But this is just, give your sub these plans. It takes the stress off the sub. The students are still engaged. They're still actively learning. And as a teacher, it takes the stress off you knowing you've got to create something, but your kids have to keep learning. All right, so I've shown you some videos, and I apologize for some of the glitches that we had. It just, sometimes things don't work. So we're now going to go to Powtoon, and let's see just how easy it is. And this is really, really exciting for me. I'm sorry, you can probably tell, because like I said, you don't have to be a tech wizard. I can show people how to create a Powtoon in a few minutes, and they're going back to their classroom, and they're creating their very own Powtoons right away. And that's You know, that's what it's all about. That's what we want to be doing. So I'm going to start with my home page, and it shows the Powtoons that I've created. And I do want to stop, and I'm going to see if this will work. I want to show you this Mission Impossible one that I had done earlier. Powtoon has the most amazing templates, and they're organized in a really cool way. So let's look at the organization of templates. So template categories, you'll notice it says all here. Well, don't stop looking, because look at that. We have work, we have education, yes, and we have personal. Now, I will tell you that under work, I found some, and if you start exploring, you're going to see yourself. I used some of those work templates. Okay, we have training. Well, what are we doing in the classroom? Training, teaching, yeah. So I use a lot of times the training videos. I will use those. Presentations, what are we doing in the classroom? We're presenting material. So I use these too. But we're going to start with the education videos. And you'll notice that you can do all of them. There's some geared to a student. Okay, your student's doing a book report. Maybe you have a student who's writing skills. Maybe you have a special needs student. I have quite a few of them this year. And they have accommodations where they don't have to do as much writing and reading as my other students. But I still need them to be doing the activities. So instead of having them type a report, why not give them the Powtoon template book report and have them do their book report in the form of a Powtoon book report right there in front of us, okay? So you preview it if you want to, and then if you like it, you just click use. So I have already opened one to use. Here it is. Here's my template, and it's so easy to do. So this is the first slide. You're not going to probably make any changes on it. And if you want to play the slide all the way through, you click right here and you can see what the whole slide does. But I'm going to jump down to slide 3 because that's where we're going to start putting our stuff in. Today's mission. And I have it so I can click right here and I can type. I can change it. You'll notice you can change the font size. You can change the font color. You can change it and make it bold. You can center it. Now, this is one thing, and I've talked to Powtoon about this. I'm going to stop right here and tell you this. One of my pet peeves, and I've asked them to work on this, is you can't just bold a single word. You have to bold the whole text box. And there's a couple of workarounds. If you think back to my homework helper, you might have noticed the word denominator when it popped up the first time had a multicolored box behind it. So if you need to bold a word, you could just insert a colored box around it, behind it, to make that word pop out. But the Powtoon team, I talked to them, and they said, yeah, we're going to see if we can do something about that so you can just bold one word in a text box. So there are workarounds for, and it didn't take that long to insert that colored box. And frankly, the colored box is actually prettier than just bolding a word, so I kind of like it anyway. But you might want to just bold the word. So we're working on that. But you can bold this whole thing, change it, special effects. You probably are not going to want to make it translucent. You can underline it if that's what you want to do to bold it. You can italicize it. So easy. Now let's talk about our images. When I click on this, it says swap. This is so cool. So I'm going to click on swap. And over on the right, my handy dandy image inserter, text inserter, everything inserter pops up. And you can see that I have a bunch of different shapes and things right here to use. Now, there are different categories that you can do when you're swapping. Now, this is just a real simple one. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to show you what I do, because I tend to be, I get carried away, and I'm going to show you how I do in just a second, but I'm just going to insert something. Ooh, we'll do a watch, because they always use those fancy watches in Mission Impossible and all those spy movies. So I've swapped it out. That's it. It's so easy. Okay, but again, I like to do more. I'm one of those people who just gets on, and there's this special little button right up here at the top called Edit, Create. Edit, you take a template, you just substitute your text, your images, replace them. But when you click Create, oh, it's just so awesome. Sorry, I do get carried away. I warned you. It says get full control, get full timeline control, but it does even more than that. Now I can click on Add. And I just want you to look at all the cool things. You don't just substitute text and images. Look at this. Props, transitions, charts, animated shapes, sound, voiceovers. It just goes on and on. PowerPoint, you can insert a PowerPoint, MP3s. There is so much you can do with that special little create button. So I do get carried away. I'm sorry. But I'm just going to do text, and I'm going to just show you what happens. Now, you notice up here we now have something special that just popped up. Real look. You can change, and what you will probably want to use is Modern Edge. That's probably going to give you the most options for substituting in images and things like that. But you don't have to. You can pick a simpler one. I tend to stick with the cartoon. Okay, that's just me. So I'm going to put cartoon look up there. You just get different choices for your images. So I'm going to add a subtitle, and I'm just going to there it is. It pops up, and I'm going to type, and I'm just making nonsense. Okay, well, that's not where I want it. So I'm going to very quickly start dragging it around, and wow. I can't even see that. That's awful. So let me change the color. See that little color button right there? Makes it so easy. And I'm going to click that. Okay, yeah, no, it still can't be seen. So let's make it a little bigger. And all right, and maybe I want to put it up here. Do you see how easy this is? You can just customize it and move it around wherever you want. And again, we can arrange it. So if I need to put something behind, you might have noticed on some of the videos, like the tree was behind my text box. So you can layer these. The box that I put behind denominators, I use this arrange tool to put it behind. Again, great tools. And I can change my font. Maybe I want a different font, but ooh, massive. Yes, we'll do massive. Okay, so there we go. Now it's bold. All right. That's text. I can add titles. I can add body text, which is smaller, just like you'd think. Titles bigger, subtitles medium, body text smaller, but you can change it. I want an image. So I don't have to swap out anymore. Now that I've clicked create, I can just go to add. I can click on image, and I'm going to do a search. I want a book. And it gives you some guidelines. What kind of book do you want? Oh, let's just choose notebook. All right, so I'm going to just start looking at my images, and I'm going to probably choose, I want props. And, ooh, nice. Well, no blues. Well, let's just do a blue notebook. And I'm going to put this blue notebook over here. Okay, well, it's covering my text, so that's not good. But I can rotate it to make it so that it's not covering. You know, blue on blue, you know, sometimes maybe that's not good. So you have to play around with it. A lot of times you can change the color of your images. This one you can't, but a lot of times you can. So I can move it around to where I want it. I can make it smaller to fit it. Okay, that's in inserting images. Characters, same thing. Did you see up here where it said add? And then I had character. So I added my teacher. I added Robbie the Raindrop. I created Robbie the Raindrop using a drop as a prop and then adding a character in. It was super easy to do, and I sized it. I layered them so they fit perfectly. All right, let's just say you have created it and you are good to go. Let me just stop here. I just almost forgot something important. When I did my fraction problems, another thing, and I've asked Powtoon to do this, there are no math fractions. You notice I had to do the slash at the beginning, 1/3, which a lot of students confuse that. They like to see 1/3 as a vertical fraction. So I had to do that in my homework helper. I could not write a fraction, so what I did is I took 2 lines of text and typed the numbers, and then I used a line. I just did a search for line right here, and I just put that line in between to make it fractions. So there's a lot of workarounds, but I have asked them, could you give us some math symbols? Because a former math teacher, yeah, you know, what can I say? I really want it. All right, up here at the top right, it says save. Powtoon automatically saves your video. I think it's every 1 minute and 20 seconds, but it's less than 2 minutes. It automatically saves it. But just to make sure before I finish, you always make sure it says saved up there. If it doesn't say saved, just take a second, click the save. But it's going to save your work. You're not going to lose. You have a power outage. Your internet crashes. You don't lose your work. And there's nothing more frustrating than spending half an hour creating something and having a problem and you lose it all. You're not going to do that with Powtoon. You are not going to lose your work. So I'm going to click on Preview and Export. And this is going to be where I can watch my video. Now, whoops, I'm not going to watch it. We're going to stop. But I want you to look down here. Do you see movie, slideshow? This is what I was telling you. You can preview it as a slideshow. That's what you might want to save it as. So if you have your computer station, unlike me, right next to where you are in the front of the room, and you're doing a whole class instruction, instead of leaving those long spaces of gaps where you interact with the students and you hope it's enough time or not too much time, do it this way. You're going to do it as a slideshow, and you'll just click to advance. You're still animated. You still have your characters moving. You still have the text typing, and you still have the sound effects. All that's still there. It just gives you more control, and that's an awesome thing to have. And we're just going to export. We're not going to preview because I didn't finish it. Now, export. I strongly recommend that you export it to your personal Powtoon player page. That's a great way to do. But there's a couple other things we're going to look at. YouTube videos. Easy, easy, easy. It does it for you. You just have to tell it what Google account, as long as you have a Google account, it uploads it for you automatically and puts it in that account. You can make it unlisted, you can make it private, you can make it public. So you can control who has access to your videos. I made my videos unlisted. I'm going to switch them since we were having problems. I will make them all public, and I will put the links and make that available to you so that you'll have it at the end. I also love this one. MP4. If I have a sub coming or I want to insert this into my Nearpod plans, and I'll be honest, I use Nearpod almost every day in the classroom as a teaching tool, so I like, and I do put videos in there, so I like to usually, and this is what I typically do, sorry, repeating myself, but I make a folder and I put my Powtoon videos on my computer and I save them as MP4s. I can then put them into any presentation I want. I can even, you know, if I had an iTunes account, which I don't, I could put them on iTunes and the students could download them onto their smartphones if they had an iPhone, which a lot of our students do. Seems to be very common in our school phones. But you can click very easily. I'm just going to show you what happens when I click Create. And right here, I select a category. And of course, mine was education, but you can personal, fun, whatever. These make great birthday cards if you have family and you want to do something really cool and impress them. Here's where I get to choose, do I want it public or unlisted? And I'm just keeping mine unlisted because this is just a partially done one. And I usually keep my quality at this. I don't want to have too much of a, too big of a file. It sometimes slows it down. And export the Powtoon. And it takes a moment, and you'll see that it is exporting. And it's going to tell you up here when it's ready, and then when I can go right here, and I can publish Option C right there. It's been published successfully, and look right here. Here's my changing. I can change it. I can also publish it to YouTube right from here. I like to save it in my Powtoon page first, and before I publish it to YouTube, just in case I have a problem, which, as you could see earlier today, I did have a problem. I accidentally published the sample and not the one that I spent quite a bit of time creating for Mission Impossible, and I really liked it. It was pretty cool. But that is the nuts and bolts of it, some ideas. I am open to questions. I know I went a little over my time, and I know I had to talk fast towards the end. I apologize. And I'm trying to turn my camera back on. There we go. I hope you can see me. Hi. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Bye.